What's up, YouTubers? It's Matt Demaz here. In this video, I interview Mike Pollock, the voice of Dr. Eggman and various other characters. I just wanted to let you all know that I forgot to turn Skype's volume down to half, so Mike's voice may be a little bit too loud, but don't let it distract you. Enjoy! What's up, YouTubers? I'm Matt Demaz, whatever, and I'm joined by the illustrious Mike Pollock, the voice of Dr. Eggman and various other characters.
Thank you so much. It's Dr. Eggman and other things.
Anyway, that was really cool that you responded to me so quickly. I wasn't expecting you to, so... Anyway, let's dive straight into this. I don't want to waste any more of your time here. Voice acting. We know that you have been doing voice acting for such a long time, like a ridiculously long time. How hard was it to like get into the whole process of like finding a gig or getting rung up and going around from town to town trying to find someone who was hiring? How hard was that whole process to get started?
The first couple of gigs were actually surprisingly easy to get. I put together a demo tape of character work that I'd done in my radio career and got 2 responses within the first month or so. One was for an anime entitled Demon Fighter Kocho, otherwise forgettable with all due respect. And then the second response was from a little series called Pokemon for a little cameo role in an episode. And then both of those producers remembered me for further stuff in the future. And then lots of networking down the line.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, honestly. I can't see it happening any other way unless you get really lucky. So, that's really interesting. So, I've got a ton of questions here. Let's go into the more detailed one here. I know that you've done voice acting for a very vast majority of animes, TV shows, radio, and all that. What are your feelings between Yu-Gi-Oh? I mean, I know that, like, you've always said that whenever you transition from one show to another, you're still reading from a script. You don't really pay much attention to the show, but, I feel like that when you voice, like, a character that's, like, not Eggman, I feel like it actually fits you more. What role do you think fits you the most? Or, like, if you've ever watched yourself as a human role, have you ever noticed that it actually suits you more?
One of the roles that was closest to my actual voice and probably my actual personality was Langston Licketoad in Viva Pinata.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty much just my regular voice, pitched up maybe just a bit with a little bonus energy. But apart from that, that was me. But I'm find great joy in being a flexible, variety-filled performer. So I will attempt to tackle any role you throw at me.
So it doesn't really matter how radically the genres you are that you transition to. You always seem to do a really solid performance for every role, and that's really cool. So anyway, here's a question I got from one of my friends. Can't remember his name. He wanted to know, have you like ran into like some really crazy fans in public before at like conventions and stuff?
Conventions tend to be manageable, but there have been a couple of fans, one in particular that wanted to meet me in person, that turns out would really rather have met Dan Green, but I was the only one who would return her calls. And we met, shared a cup of coffee. I had to go into a session at 4 Kids, and she was determined to follow me. And I got in trouble for that because I didn't realize she was following me just a few moments behind to ask for a tour. You can't do that.
No. Anyway, that's really interesting. I would have thought there would have been some, people trying to stalk you and stuff, but no, that doesn't happen.
No, not usually. Not usually and seriously.
I heard you're a supporter of acting schools and such. Do you think it's really necessary to go into a school? Because, I've heard around where I live in Australia, there is schools where you can go to college to learn all this stuff and get a career in voice acting, which I'm currently trying out. But, I've heard a lot of stories that, you're better off just freelancing and just getting gigs just by ringing around networking. What do you think really is the best these days, especially in 2015?
You should have some type of acting training. I did lots of community theater and school theater, very little formal training, but I guess to compensate, I have some natural ability. But the internet has made it a lot more accessible for anyone, regardless of skill and ability and training, to get some type of work, which may or may not be a good thing because there are lots of people who are willing to work cheap. And sometimes cheap talent sounds like cheap talent. But it's a great way to start out working from with people you meet online. But still, the real live gigs tend to be in studio.
Yeah.
But that's not entirely true. I have plenty of commercial stuff that I do remotely from here in the comfort of my own home.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about Eggman. You knew it was coming. So anyway, Dr. Robotnik, or Eggman, that round-shaped guy that you've been doing the voice for since 2003, late 2003. What was going on the moment you stepped into the recording booth and and you laid down the first line of dialogue for Eggman ever? What was the reaction of everybody? Well, what was the reaction of the audition you sent people? Were they like, wow, this is it, this is Eggman? You know what I mean?
There weren't a whole lot of people there. Most of my work was done with the local producer and the local director, so I never got Sega's reaction until months or years later. But the director and producer and engineer liked it, and then apparently they were able to convince Sega to like it too.
Oh, that's really good. I honestly think you're the best thing to come out of the 4Kids group, honestly.
Thank you.
And it's really interesting to see how things have panned out for you in your career. So, let's what was the relationship you had with the people you recorded with, like Dan Green, Jason, and all that?
We all recorded separately, so there wasn't any real relation other than, hi, I'm coming in, you're going out, great to see you, talk to you later, bye, gotta go. But on those rare occasions when we'd have talent pool parties, and there were a couple of en masse recording things, but for Sonic X it was all separate. But whenever we were together, we all had tons of fun and loved to chat.
That's really good. That's the important thing. I understand that, it gets really busy and, people don't have time. You just gotta walk in there, do your lines, walk out. But that's fine. Anyway, I got some sort of ridiculous questions here. Well, one or two. Somebody asked me, how do you like your eggs?
Poached, please. Thank you so much.
Here's a sort of another one. Someone, I know you get a lot of frequent questions about the most mundane things, but people wanted to know what your favorite type of music was.
Show tunes.
Oh, okay.
I'm an actor. I perform show tunes when I'm on stage doing musicals. That shouldn't come as a surprise.
No, that's not. That's perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. Anyway, so can we get like a little update on Sonic Boom and how it's going? I haven't really. Well, I've checked out the first few episodes. Look, they're really good. Look, I'm not gonna lie. Look, I am not like a massive fan of the new games, but the reason I bought the games is so I can hear your voice acting anyway, so it's fine. Look, this TV show is really great. It's really entertaining. It's hilarious. How's the production going for now? Are you going to be like doing like more seasons of the show, or are you going to halt it at a certain point?
Nothing yet has been announced about the future, so we'll have to find out what the future holds together.
And that's fine. So let's go back to your past a little bit more. How you said that you used to grow up watching Looney Tunes and Mel Blanc and all that. How did you initially create the voice that you use for Eggman and everyone else? Like the sort of like high-pitched voice. How did you craft that?
In the case of Eggman, they gave me clips of Dean Bristow to match for auditions, so I took the clips and worked on my best Dean Bristow. I'm Dean Bristow. There was a round of auditions. There were 2 rounds of callbacks before Sega apparently decided that my Dean Bristow sound-alike was what they wanted. And once we were into recording, after the first episode or so, the first couple of episodes, if you listen back, we determined that there was not enough room for comedy when you're just doing something way down here all the way. Blah, blah, blah. So they encouraged me to add some peaks and valleys, a la Martin Short's Jiminy Glick character, which is why Eggman these days can start up way up high and then go way down low.
That's brilliant. So it's important to add variation to the voice. But that comes to the next question. Like, even though you've got all this variety in the delivery for every voice that you do you ever, look, for Eggman, do you ever get, like, bored with Eggman voicing him at all, or disinterested at times?
It's almost impossible to get bored. The sessions don't last more than an hour or two.
Well, there you go. It's just non-stop fun then. It's just...
Absolutely. That's one of the joys of voice acting. If you got a short attention span, you're done in a couple hours.
All right, so let's move on here. We've got some more questions about, like, your earlier anime work. Like, I know that you did Berserk and all of that other stuff. After you started voicing Sonic X, did you do any other role aside from Hugo and all that you felt like was such a really radical change from the whole kid-friendly stuff you were doing?
I tend not to overthink stuff that much. I'm concentrating on the gig that I'm doing at the time, and I'm not comparing one gig to another. My job when I'm in the room is to give my client my full attention. So I don't give a thought to other clients.
I noticed that there has been some different writers for, like, games such as Sonic Colors and all of that, where you had more comedic elements added to your script and such. You said that whenever you get handed a script, you just do your job and you walk out. But when you were doing Sonic Colors, did you ever giggle or chuckle at some of the stuff that was being said?
Oh, absolutely. I'm laughing all the time, whether it's supposed to be funny or whether it's not supposed to be funny, because I have a tremendous amount of fun doing what I'm doing. But yeah, Colors and Generations were both nice comedic takes on the characters, and I enjoyed them immensely.
Yeah, I mean, they were really fun games to play too. It's not because of the nostalgia, it's just they're well designed. Let's go back into the past now, rewind a little bit more. So, like you said before, you said that the vast majority of the gigs that you did early on were radio gigs, or just people just call you for TV or ads or whatnot. What was the first, like, unofficial cartoon you ever did? Like, unofficial.
Well, the first professional freelance gig I did was for a video called Little Tug's Big Adventure, featuring live-action footage of boats around New York Harbor and me providing all the male voices. So that was just a one-off video thing. Highly forgettable.
I have to watch that.
If you can. It's extremely overpriced if you can find one at all. It is available on my web. It's available on my website, but it's hardly worth the purchase. Maybe get a gang together. Sure. Get a collection together and see how much it.
Yeah, I have to get into that tugboat action there, man. I can't miss that. Anyway, let's talk more about Sonic for a little bit here. Sonic X, the cartoon show. That was, like, basically your first step into the whole universe. How did you like you said, you do enjoy voicing Eggman, but how did it feel to read the script for the first time and then read it out loud? Did you think it really sounded that good, honestly?
It's always a challenge when you're first starting a new character to make sure that it's sounding the way the director and the producer wanted, but by the time I was done, they were happy with it, and that's all that mattered. I'm there to please the production team. My opinion of the material is really irrelevant.
Oh, that makes sense. Alright, so Sonic X was a success. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. And then there was the newer stuff you did, which was it was mainly games, but I do remember you did the Viva Piano thing. And what was it like doing that? Like, how did you? What was? Honestly, what made you look at the show and the script and say, "Hey, this is something I can do"? What attracted you to that?
They asked me to audition, and I was lucky enough to book the audition for Langston Lickatoad. I auditioned for a whole bunch of other characters, but they picked me for Langston, and that's fine with me. I seldom does the talent get the choice of what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. If you're lucky enough to get invited to an audition, you go, you do the best you can, and then you hope that you're the one that books the particular role you're read for. So I'm thrilled that they liked what I did. Again.
That's glorious. That's really cool. Anyway, let's look. I've got most of the questions out of the way. Do you want to just tell everyone some more about yourself, like how you your history with voice acting just for a little bit. How's that?
Sure, I grew up loving radio and liking cartoons a whole lot. Wanted to be on the radio. Was on the radio from college in the mid-1980s up through the mid-1990s until the radio industry changed enough and had enough of me. I was remanded to radio purgatory for the next 15 or so years. And while I was doing that, I was also starting to do freelance voiceover work on the side. And eventually, when radio had enough of me completely, I was able to have a stable of characters to build a demo reel out of and shop it around and then start focusing on voiceover full time.
Wow, that's the really abridged version, basically, of everything you've done.
Yeah, that's
I mean, if you were to tell us everything, we'd be here all night, but,
Look,
that's fine. Anyway, you've got such a really interesting career, and just when I go onto Wikipedia and read all that stuff, there's so many things you've done. Like, even though I don't even think a diehard fan of you would even name everything you've done because there's so much stuff.
No, there's all sorts of commercial stuff that no one cares about, so absolutely.
Yeah, like the AC/DC commercial and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a sort of an expansion on the music question. How do you feel about rock music and, do you like classic rock from the 70s and 80s?
I worked at a classic rock radio station for a year. Didn't agree with me.
Well, that's fine. It's not for everyone. It's cool.
I like oldies music from the 50s and 60s. I like country music because I wrote song parodies to country as well as other formats for several years when I was in syndication stuff. And novelty music is also nice too.
Ah, yes, I like all that old stuff. It was so revolutionary at the time, and it still sounds good today. Anyway, with the direction that Sonic Boom was starting to head with the script, it sort of felt like they wanted to just reboot the series for children, basically. And although it still had some of its roots connected to it, like the way the scripts were written, it sort of sounded like Sonic X in a way, and the old cartoons from the 90s that we won't talk about. Anyway, so with the cartoon, do you think that Sonic Boom was a lot different, dramatically different from Sonic X in terms of writing and comedy and whatnot?
Sure, it's an apples and oranges comparison because Sonic X is a dub of a Japanese show.
Yeah.
So you have the constraints of not only the original material and whether it's going to be well received by the target audience that the distributor is looking for, but also you've got to match dialogue and make it fit into existing lip flap, which is always a challenge. So with Sonic X, it's all done prelay, so we can the writers will write whatever they want to write, and our goal is to record it in such a way that it fits into 11 minutes without too much editing after we've recorded. And but we do have the freedom of not having to fit within a certain amount of time for each individual bit of dialogue, for example. So a prelay series is always going to be a lot more freeing than a dubbed situation.
So they didn't with Japanese to English translation, they didn't really bother rewriting it too differently from the Japanese version? Or?
Well, it depends on who you ask. There are some people who absolutely loathe the 4Kids adaptations because it was so localized for American and other international audiences. So, but the basic germs of the plot are still intact. It's just some of the window dressing may be changed.
Yeah, I felt like Sonic X was basically just a recreation of the games in the way, like how you had the egg carrier and all that, and the whole shadow thing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was maybe just a little bit too dark with the whole, because I noticed on the third season with Cosmos there was a lot of death in the anime, and with the Japanese version I know that there was cussing in it as well, so of course they had to rewrite that stuff, but the main, like you said, the main bones of the storyline and whatnot are intact. All right, so let's dive back into Robotnik, Eggman, whoever you want to call him. Do you know much about the character at all, or?
I wouldn't consider myself an Eggman scholar. I'm I know enough to make the producers happy, and the producers will then make sure that the audience is happy. But it's the producer and directors are there to make sure I'm kept on track. But there's not a lot of prep time. I don't get the script that far in advance to be able to figure out how new stuff relates to old stuff. And I don't want to get bogged too much down in the history, because if the particular history for what I'm recording is different than the otherwise canonical history, I don't want to confuse myself or confuse the project. So I'll let the director, and in almost every situation, I'll let the director and producer tell me what they want me to know.
Oh, okay. So with the vast majority of the video games you have voiced, like you said, you're not much. I mean, you're not a gamer. You don't play games.
No reason I should.
I mean, but have you ever just sat there and just watched like other people play your games with your voice on them, or?
I've watched other people play for about 5 minutes. That's really all I can stand, with the exception of my kids playing the games from the backseat of the car. Then I don't have any choice but to listen to them for hours on end. But
how does it feel? How does it feel to hear yourself?
Very annoying when it gets very repetitive.
Not mentioning any catchphrases, but time for a change of pace.
All your favorites, absolutely.
I couldn't help myself there. Anyway, so you said it does get annoying, but obviously when you listen to it the first time, you think it's genius, right? You just think it's hilarious. But when you hear the same thing over and over,
right. When I record it, I hear it once, maybe twice, and then move on. But when I'm trapped in the car, over and over again.
One of the many crimes to pay to be a successful voice actor. Many not crimes, many the prices to pay, I should say. Anyway, so you said that you did a lot of radio. What would be your favorite radio thing you've ever done, ever?
Oh, probably when I was filling in for the midday shift on the adult contemporary station. Got to take some quiz-related phone calls and chat with people on the radio. That was fun.
Did you ever do a different voice while chatting with them?
No, when I worked on one of the morning shows, I got to do with the occasional characters. That was fun too.
Oh,
not as well organized as I would have enjoyed, but
what year was that?
1980, or that would be closer to the end of the one radio station. So 91, 92, 93.
The golden age of radio. So when did you so you said you were doing radio for such a long time. When you made the jump to other forms of media, did you completely abandon radio, or did you still continue to do stuff?
Well, radio abandoned me ultimately. So when radio kicked me out, that was enough for me and enough for them. So apart from any commercials that I do that happen to air on radio stations, the radio as it is now is different from radio as it was then. So I'm content for the moment of just letting bits of my commercial work air on the radio.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I've said everything I need to say, so we can wrap this up if you want. I mean, that's fine.
All right, then.
Thank you, everyone, for watching this video. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment under this video, and tell us what you think. And, yeah, thank you so much, Mike, for being with me, even though I've been an absolute horrible interviewer. You know, it's good that you put up with me, man. That's awesome.
Not a problem. Thanks for asking.
I'll try to get this a lot of views for you too, because I'll make this go viral. So we should be good, man. So anyway, guys, I'll see you all later.
Thanks for watching. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Goodbye, everyone.